Weston and Mary Wiggins, who has worked very hard to make sure the process is a true and straight process. So I'm here to announce the 4 candidates that we have selected. But before I do that, I think it's really important to talk a little bit about the process that started back in March, the process that, people ask what took so long with the process. Well, we've been through a migrant situation. We've been through a lot of things that we needed to get through, and now we've been going through a budget, and we're at the tail end of our budget, so it was really important that we continued to do the budget and make sure that we came up with a budget. As you've heard, we're looking at hopefully, and we've been working hard at no new revenue for the budget, and that's something that's going to be really important to the city of El Paso, and that's what the citizens continue to have asked us to make sure that we do that. So this is why we're at the process we are today. The city council members each picked their candidates and the original applications, and this is something that is really interesting to see, because you've heard that no one would apply, or who's going to want it. The city manager of the city of El Paso was no longer the city manager, that we parted ways. Well, we had over 80 applicants, which is incredible. That's a lot of applicants. And from the applicants, we had the opportunity to pick the top 14 that qualified, that we felt would be the best applicants. So the city council members ended up looking at 14 very qualified applicants that they had to choose from and come up with the top 4. The top 4 that they felt could continue to lead the city in the progress that we've been having. And so I'm very excited. I think the city council did a great job, and I really believe they nailed it. So congratulations, council, on the great job of picking the 4 people that have risen to the top from 80. And the 4 people are Robert Cortinas, the Chief Financial Officer of the City of El Paso, Chief Mario D'Agostino, Nicole Farini, and Dion Mack. And it's 4 members from the City of El Paso that have been here, all of them probably about a decade each, which is really important. So, talk about understanding the city, talking about working with the over 7,000 team members that we have in the city. We actually have the 4 local team members, which is something that originally we talked about, that going forward that we thought we should interview our local team members, that we really had very qualified members. And at the end of the day, we went through the process and found out that we were talking about was a true statement. We have very qualified team members. Now, I could talk about the process, but you know what? I'm going to let Mary Wiggins really talk about it, because the process is the process that we talked about at council, with council members, and then this is something that we decided together as a whole. So, Ms. Wiggins, you want to go over the process that we're going to do and how we're going to do it?
Absolutely.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning, Mary Wiggins, Chief Human Resources Officer for the city. We're excited to be here today to announce the process that we have gotten to so far. We're halfway there, I think. So the next process is going to be the interview process. And so for the interview process, that will be on August 7th and August 8th. On the 7th, we will have the external panels will actually interview our candidates. We have 2 outside external panels. We have a citizen advisory panel, and we have a stakeholder panel. So they will interview on the 7th. On the evening of the 7th, we will have a community forum, much like a meet and greet. We will do that at the convention center from 5:30 to 8:30 on the night of the 7th. And then on the 8th, we will continue our interviews, and those will be the interviews that will be conducted by our mayor and council. So those will continue into that process. This week right now, the candidates have all been notified, and background checks are being done. Even though we do have internal candidates, we do follow our regular process. We have background checks being done so that we can, finish it and have everything ready once we get ready for interviews. I believe that's the majority. Anything else you can think of?
Yeah. Now, we have asked for the media to, and we'll send this out, and we'll send out the the release, but we've asked for all media entities to send 3 questions that you would like answered by the candidates that during the conference. We've asked the candidates not to interview originally with the media or with city council. We want to do the process as it's laid out to make sure it's a very transparent process and everyone gets equal opportunity to answer questions. Everyone has equal opportunity to do the interview, because we want to make sure this is transparent and very fair process to everybody. So the process that you'll see, and then we're looking to have our new city manager take office on September 1st. And that's something that's been important, and that's been a number. I know that you guys have heard the saying, which is probably one of the most ridiculous things I've heard, that we're a lame duck council and we shouldn't pick the city manager. Well, we're in July. Lame duck session starts November, as the election day is. So we got a lot of time and we got a lot of job, and we're elected to do the job for 4 years, and we're going to do the job till the last day of our term. So that's something that's really important. And this council, again, I believe knocked it out of the ballpark by picking the best of the best, and it happened to be people that worked for the city, that been with the city, or team members, and have worked with all 7,000 team members of the city. So I'm really excited, and I give a lot of really credit to our current city manager that really has worked with the current deputy city managers, and one of them's currently a director, and 3 city managers that applied and felt that they would like to continue the momentum, and it's a huge momentum that the city's on right now, the economic development momentum, and also if we do, which we're going to do, is we will come up with a no new revenue, which will be the 2nd year in a row that the city, which has never done before. So it's very exciting times and a lot of momentum, a lot of great things going on in the city of El Paso. And to make sure that we picked somebody that kept that momentum was really important. And again, I want to thank council for doing an incredible job to picking the top 4, again, from over 80 candidates. That's really an incredible number. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our interim city manager that's done an incredible job, Mr. Weston, Colonel Weston.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everybody. Just a few things to add. I mean, I think that the selection of the city council, as they independently looked at all the finalists and came up with a list of internal candidates, really sends a powerful message, not only to our city staff, but also to the community, that it really matters to have people in these positions and have the person in this position that not only really understands the operations of the city, but really understands the culture and understands this community. I think it's very, very important. I think that their selection of internal candidates, now remember, the mayor mentioned we're looking at 80 different files and 14 semifinalists from all over the nation. The fact that the council independently landed on these candidates shows you the importance of their confidence in our local senior talent within the organization and how much that really means in terms of the effective operations of this city. One of the things that wasn't mentioned that I do want to say is that there was a lot of work that's been put into this ahead of the process of really actively going out and looking at the recruits. Now, my job in this is not to define the process. This is the city council's process. This is their candidate. I work for the body of the council and the directives of the council, and the next city manager will as well. So one of the things that was really important for me is that we facilitate the council's directives and do this in the best way possible. We spent over 2 months working with Baker Tilly as they reached out to the community through a bilingual survey that had over 2,000 respondents, or close to 2,000 respondents, 2 community meetings, feedback sessions with all the city council representatives. And the reason that was important is because it was that work that shaped the characteristics of what this city council is looking for in their ideal candidate for the city manager. So very pleased at that whole part of the process, and extremely pleased that the city council really looked at prioritizing the internal talent within the organization and the confidence of the internal talent of this organization to bring forward a group of candidates ultimately for their selection to lead the operations of the city going forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Colonel. And I did read the names in the order that they're on your press release, but are not in the order of how they came in or ranking or anything else. It's just the way we did put the names in alphabetical order by last name. We do have two alternates. If something goes, then again, they're very exciting, the two alternates that we have. And I'm going to share the names with you all because I think it's very important to see that our two alternates was our former fire chief that's now the fire chief in Houston and born and raised in El Paso, Sam Pena. And then the second finalist, alternate, is Veronica Soto, which born and raised also in El Paso and worked for the city for quite a long time, now works for the Pentagon. Or, no, the the Treasury Department. So again, it seems like the local people really have risen to the top, even with the alternate that the City Council picked. And with that, I'm going to open it for questions, and I know the first question, I'm sure, is from Alita, so I'll go ahead and start there.
The council has been kind of back and forth on whether to go for a national firm or go internally through human resources, and you've ended up with local candidates. So what played a factor with narrowing down from national candidates to local candidates at the end of the day?
Okay, the Baker Tilly sent out the application, the opening for the city manager, and 80 people applied. And then they looked at all 80 applications, and then they brought to the council the top 14 they felt the council needed to look at that would really fully qualify for the job. Not that none of the other ones did, but they brought up the top 14. And then council looked at the top 14 with video interviews and everything else, and then council made an independent decision. No one knew what anyone did. Everyone just submitted it to Baker Tilly, and then they added the scores, and then they came up with the top 4. And it just goes to prove that we really believe in our city, we believe in our citizens, and we believe that we have the best of the best working for the city. So it's incredible. I really believe that, the news is that over 80 people applied, and the top 4 are people that work and live and breathe the air of the city of El Paso. No, you got your one. Anyone else have? I'll be back to you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So many of y'all who are standing here were part of the removal of former city manager Tommy Gonzalez. And I want to know, with the 4 candidates that are in-house, you say you want to move forward, but at the same time they were also underneath him. So how do you believe that any of these candidates are going to be different from the last administration?
Okay, people are individuals, and we look at people as individuals. And it wouldn't be fair to say that, they worked under somebody. They actually are people that do their job and do their job really, really well. And they've been with the city. I mean, Mr. Cortines has been with the city for a lot longer than 10 years. Chief D'Agostino started as a firefighter and moved his way up. Dion Mack started with the libraries and moved on her way up. Nicole Farini started when we got a grant from the Rockefeller Foundation, and she came to help us with the grant with the Rockefeller Foundation. So these are people that have moved their way up, not because they worked for anyone, because they were committed and devoted and did a great job, the job they did for our community. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Our city leaders trying to avoid a situation similar to what happened with Tommy Gonzalez.
Okay, this has nothing to do with Tommy Gonzalez, and I want to make sure you guys know that Colonel Weston worked for Tommy Gonzalez. Colonel Weston came and did an incredible job, did the job that he knows. He's a retired military, a decorated war veteran that came to work for the city, and he's his own individual. So it had nothing to do with it. And we've seen, so people, you can't compare it just because they work for someone else. They work for this council, other councils. Why didn't you say that? But no, they're great individuals that have a drive and a want to make a difference and lead our city. And that's what you want to look at. That's important, not who they sat next to, but who they are as individuals.
Some people that you mentioned also hold really important positions within the city. In the likelihood that they'll be elected or named as the
I didn't quite, what?
I can answer that.
Okay, I didn't hear it to start with.
Sure. One of the priorities we always have is building a good succession plan and building leaders at multiple levels within the organization. So one of the tasks of the city manager is, when selected, we will have, obviously, since we're have a group of finalists from within. Once the city council makes their selection, one of the first tasks of the new city manager will be how to fill the vacancy that's been left behind and continue to build on the succession of the city. And that's why I really believe that when we look at talent within the organization and we look at it, we typically focus in on the city manager or the deputy city managers or directors. Having the good talent pool underneath and the structure in place is really important so that people look at opportunities to grow from a leadership perspective within the organization. So won't be a challenge for us. I'm very confident with our younger leaders in the organization and moving up, and look forward to watching that happen.
Thank you, Colonel. Now, I think it's important to note that we are, the way this council is started, we make the policies. Council and the mayor make the policies, and the city manager and their staff implements it. And that's the way it's been set up, and that's the way it'll continue to be. Anyone else?
One of the public criticisms at the end of the previous city manager's administration was that his waste contract was structured, and particularly the compensation. Are there any considerations to how that will be structured for this new incoming city manager?
That's a great question. Any other questions? No, I'm kidding. No, it's really important that we have a very competitive contract that formed, but it's also a contract that's good not only for the city manager but also the city of El Paso, and it needs to be a two-way contract, and that's something that needs to be very important. And so the contract will be determined by HR, but also the city council will vote as a whole on the contract. So I think that having a contract that is a good contract but not a lopsided contract is going to be very important. And I was serious about it. It was a very good question.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Mayor,
You brought up the topic of lame duck and some concerns that I guess had been brought up about this current council making the decision to hire the next city manager when 6 seats will now be up for election in November. What do you have to say about, is it fair that the majority of an outgoing council makes the decision of who will lead the city when the new council comes in?
Okay, you're making an assumption that the ones running for re-election are going to lose. So that's not a very good assumption, and that who's going to win, not win. We have. It's really important that that we have a council that understands budgets. We have a council that understands policies and procedures. So if you do end up with a majority of new council members, they wouldn't know that. It would be a learning curve. So it's important. But this made it even more amazing that they're all local. They're all people that have been with the city for over a decade, and some for 2-3 decades. So it really changes the dynamics really of your question, because it's, number one, it's not a lame duck. That's really a question that, or something that can't be said, because we still have 6 months in office, and lame duck is in November. But we need to do our job the best way we can, and we have been doing that. And the candidates that we picked shows that we're prepared to pick the right candidate.
Mayor, could we have some words in Spanish from the Spanish speaker?
Yes, ma'am.
I just have a quick question. You said that there's going to be a citizen advisory board and a stakeholders board. Can you just elaborate on who exactly we're looking at to be on each of those boards and what their connection is to?
Well, the council members each, include myself, have picked 2 candidates for one for each of the boards. And so they've been already submitted to Ms. Wiggins, and then and these are people that have agreed to serve on these panels. So we already got the panels, and we plan to bring them forward, and they'll be released in a media release on who the names are, not on this one, but we'll release it, because really the important part is the 4 candidates that rose to the top. Anyone else? All right, now I'm going to say it in Spanish, so.
Si nomás nos puede decir por qué era importante para ustedes que estos candidatos eran local, ya conocen la ciudad del Paso y ya son de aquí.
Sí, la pregunta lo hiciste muy bien, porque la cosa es que tenemos más de 80 personas que aplicaron para que eran del City Manager, y los que agarramos ahorita son 4 que están con la ciudad, que están hasta aquí más de 10 años, unos más de 30 años, que conocen la ciudad, que conocen todos los empleados que trabajan aquí, los 7,000 que tenemos, ha trabajado con ellos, sí. Pero la cosa que es muy importante que estamos diciendo ahorita, que el City Council vio que estos eran los 4 mejor de 80. Esa es la cosa que es muy importante, y son unos que conocen el budget, conocen cómo está corriendo la ciudad. Ahorita la ciudad está corriendo muy bueno con el Economic Development, las cosas que tenemos ahorita, que vamos a hacer el rollback de los impuestos otra vez, la segunda vez que lo hacemos, y nunca sabíamos eso. Y es muy importante que tenemos a alguien que conoce la ciudad, alguien que vive en El Paso y cree del Paso.
¿Cuál es la importancia de darle un buen contrato a la persona quien va a ser el manejador de la ciudad?
La cosa es un buen contrato para ellos, pero también para la ciudad. Un contrato que trabaja para los dos, no nomás que está muy pesado por un lado, y un contrato que no tiene mucho de atrás, que ustedes no lo pueden ver. Vamos a tener todo enfrente para que se pueda ver, pero el contrato que va a ser muy bueno para la ciudad, pero también para el City Manager, que va a ser el nuevo.
¿Tú crees que la transición va a ser un poquito más fácil porque todos estos candidatos ya conocen todo de la ciudad?
No, va a ser más que poquito más fácil, va a ser muy fácil, porque trabajando con Colonel Weston, que ha estado aquí, y saben cómo está la ciudad y cómo se está moviendo para adelante la ciudad, ni se va a ver que vamos a hacer el cambio, porque va a ser muy, ¿cómo se dice?, muy seamless. Anyone else? Thank you very much, and like I said, it's a very exciting day, and the news that we have 4 locals that have risen to the top was picked from over 80 people and was picked by the council, and the 2 alternates were even local, born in the city of El Paso. It was really very exciting, so thank you. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and may God bless everyone.
It's still transmitting. I guess I can turn it off now.
We have a word real quick? We made some requests of you yesterday. We just had a quick question here. We made a request yesterday related to not this one here, but just wondering, given all of these elections going on, are you planning to make any endorsements when it comes to the office of the mayor for, the person who will next inhabit that seat?
I do plan on making an endorsement, and we'll let it know in a few days, but I do want somebody that continues the vision that the city has, something that we worked really hard for, and so I am looking forward to being able to endorse, and will endorse somebody to continue to do the great things, and I really tell you the great things have been happening in our community, and as we talk about the asylum seekers and how they've been taken care of, and the new budget that we're looking at again for this year, and continuing to treat people the way people need to be treated is very important to me. So I'm looking forward in the next couple of days to be able to do that.
Okay. And when it comes to any other council seats, do you plan to make any endorsements there?
I haven't seen, just like for city council number 1, someone did announce last night.